Alrighty then. Cursed Necropolis Rio session 23. We're getting on. It's we're actually approaching the start with a number numbers, John. I think we ended that one at 29. But that was bi-weekly or less. Right. So we spent the last 3 sessions exploring the first Sothic turn, that fateful time when the Arisen awoke for the first time since they died. Um, and we learned things. We saw familiar and strange faces. We gained some insight into some of the things that have been cropping up in the flashbacks and the memories of Khufu and Sobek. And we will continue on from 2016, our modern timeline, as it were, in Rio de Janeiro. So we don't have a pressing thing to attend to in Rio at the moment, as this memory of the first turn was more or less invoked upon you without you really advocating for it. So, Sobek, you were in the cult headquarters. Khufu was in the tomb, I believe, and you're free to have met up or relocated somewhere else. Whatever it is you want to be doing, we will start from wherever you guys want to be.
Okay, well, I'm still waiting for Aristides Borgus to tell me more, to let me know that he's lured some of these Sardarites in. That's my sort of next main thing that I'm sort of waiting for.
Yep.
And how long have we got until the conclave that's in Washington?
The conclave wasn't given a particular date, but when it was mentioned, it was going to be. I I'm not sure if summer was mentioned, but it's going to be like some months from now.
Okay, cool. So I'm not going to worry about that yet.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not imminent as such. There's another event coming up in some months' time, which is uh, the the soccer world
Yes, the World Cup.
championships.
Yep.
Yeah, but both of those are in the summer. So you're waiting. Khufu is waiting for the word to come down from Aristides Borges about the whatever he's going to do to try and get some of these starter heights to where you can get to them.
I think as well. I'm going to pay in the meantime while I'm waiting for that to come down. I'm going to go and pay a visit to my boy Sackmist.
Mm-hmm.
Since obviously I've remembered him during the first turn, and I know that sort of speaking about these things can like spur an Arisen's memory. So I want to try and talk to him about some of the things that happened in Abju
Mm-hmm.
to see if I can sort of like refresh his memory of when he was like a sort of grandiose, like noble figure rather than like a sort of punky fight the powers sort of scrapper that he is now.
What about Sabek? What's going on?
That is a good question.
I've been
You know,
asking myself that
yeah.
for 4,000 years now.
Well, it is kind of hard to be in a risen to both be simultaneously thinking about stuff that happened thousands of years ago, and also be acting in the present, thinking like how the future is going to turn out. Um, Remind my call to researching this box. I still want to try and locate it if possible. Um, I'll ask them how things like while I'm in the headquarters, like how things are going. Like, have we had any new recruits come in? How's the organization doing? How are we doing as a
Well, previously they were instructed to basically hunker down because you got
yeah,
word that there's going to be
an attack's coming?
repercussions and they will be targeted. So they've kind of wound down their operations to a point, and everything's sort of quiet before the storm right now. And frustratingly, they have found nothing about the box. Still, it's not for lack of trying.
Curiosity's like just bubbling away here. I kind of want to. I understand you may not have this ready at this session, but I kind of want to ask them to trace our sort of path around the globe a little bit. See if they can give me an indication of where we've been based previously from here. If that's not too much of a radical notion, I don't want to freak them out and be like, "What do you mean we used to be based in like Egypt and possibly Antarctica and possibly New Zealand?" Like, they're not that old, surely.
Well, you did start the somewhat involved process of expanding your tomb temple complex with a new wing with similar ideas to be put on the walls.
Yeah, it's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
But my thoughts are, is this presence that we keep seeing, it has has an interest in me, and my brother, for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly it could actually speak to every arisen. Like, it could just be something that we encounter as we go through our time. And I kind of want to breach that subject with a few of the others, but I'm also kind of worried that if I do and they don't get these visitations, that might either spark jealousy or unwanted attention. So it is a double-edged sword. Well, the indication that this thing is making us look back, so I'm kind of thinking I need to retrace my steps. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe I've left something, like, on this trail. And I don't know where I'm going, but I can at least figure out where I've been. From this is my questioning soul coming out again. Sobek is very curious about the world.
They were going to gather this particular information anyway, so it is very much a possibility. They will have a world map with pins in it and attached post-it notes with dates, like with a lot of question marks. And
and just let me know if we get any messages from Arisen in the city or abroad. Because I just a feeling I have that we're going to, the longer we're awake for, the more of the Arisen are going to remember things, and we're going to start getting people reaching out. And to make preliminary, just a list of things, preliminary like precautions that we might have, possibly one of the first merit coming to visit. He didn't say he was definitely going to come, but he gave us probably the most like the most positive response I've ever had off the guy. So maybe. I'm tempted to breach the subject with getting his guild leader to help with our problems. But this is technically a personal issue for Kofu.
So what's the preparations like? Like what's the what is it about? Like, let's be able to throw a party for him or take him around town, or what's the itinerary for when Husani, the reviver of dead things, turns up?
A place I think from my interactions with him and kind of the sense that he's not a socialite, so he's more a practical man. So more a place he can work, a place he can go for peace if he wants, wants solitude. I'm sure that Cover wouldn't mind me using a few things from his to Mary to kind of vibe it up to the kind of his guild. Possibly. I don't know what kind of retainers he has. I've known that we've actually met his cult.
Yeah, you have. Khufu explicitly wanted to relocate them. You've seen and
yeah, so a bit like accommodation and kind of like a differentiating ceremonial kind of uniform for these people, so we know that they're the revivers.
These are their badges, but
yeah, kind of a bit corporate of me, I suppose, but just so we know. Offer them the use of our temple if he wishes.
So where are you setting this taxidermy / necromancy workshop for him.
We've got quite a lot of space in our tomb because
So in your tomb, then.
it's rather big. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so no, that's no problem. So
I'll show respect.
you prepare to receive Husani in your tomb temple if
Yeah.
you so choose. And if
He might turn us down, but
Yeah.
the way I see it is he might just expect Kofu to know he's coming. Like he might just be like, "Well, you made the offer. If it's not ready, then you'll be insulted." So I'm just, thinking ahead. He
Yeah.
might just show up.
Yeah. So
The first merit, like in Soulbox Man of Mad, he sort of understands the Orishas. They're just a bunch of angry punkers who just don't know how to come back to civilization. And obviously the secret court, they're blowing smoke up their own own
Pipes.
second. All their intrigues. But the first merit I don't really get because they're just so closed off. But I kind of like them, old school,
Yeah, they do have that old man of the mountain thing going on, whereby people know that they're up there. Who knows what the fuck they're doing?
I can respect someone who stands on their own principles. They don't really mess around. And I haven't seen him since Carthage.
Sit down with some coffee and it's like, oh, Carthage, do you remember those days? Was I there? Please.
So my interpretation, like I said, is I don't think Husani will remember to send someone to inform us he's coming. I don't think he has the social kind of knowledge. He's very closed off, so he might just rock up after the invitation. He might not think that send word, so I'm just having it ready, both for the cult, but also for Khufu, because he's because Bantanaf, sends me at least an email and some chocolates, invitation to a party.
Mm-hmm.
A little bull-headed plushie, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Angry Minotaur figure.
Yeah. I am debating using my ability, but I don't know if I will at right this second, which is to summon a book.
Yep.
I don't know the consequences of bringing a piece of a rem back. I'm curious. I'm very curious.
Well, for one thing, books didn't exist back then, but you can, of course, summon texts.
Yeah.
As a format, I mean, but of course, you had a lot of text.
And I don't mean to sway you slightly or anything, but you know that term "kiss of a pap" that we've just acquired knowledge of, where technically you can only put a single death curse into an object. However, it specifically says if you have pages of a book, you could put a curse into each page and then bind all the pages together in a book.
Book of curses.
If you wanted to go ultimate curse power.
Yeah, if you wanted to destroy someone.
Someone could destroy my book of curses and I could be like, well, that's a shame.
So basically if you summoned let's say stone tablets, if you summon a load of stone tablets, you could bung a curse on each one. Then if anyone steals the collection, they're going to be multiple curse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Double death.
Times. Yeah. Die 6 times.
So
I want to ask I need a question answering. But I don't know which of the reason to ask. Even slightly worried to ask my brother.
Okay. What is the question? What is Starbeck pondering?
Has an Arisen ever been truly destroyed?
I can answer that one.
You're fairly sure that yes.
Yeah, well, we know that Mesa de Cara, the Hate in the Night, fed on Arisen, permanently destroying them to increase its own power. So we know we can be destroyed.
You've literally yourself remembered just now that you saw in the first turn the remnants of Arisen that had been eaten by one of these lifeless monstrosities, which Mesa de Cara supposedly is the strongest one of.
But it wasn't an Arisen.
They were Arisen. They were Cosmos former friends before they got ate.
No, I mean the one that just did the eating. That wasn't an arisen.
No, that's not our arisen. No. But it functions along similar sort of principles to a point. It has Sekhem. That was the creature that Khufu fought in the desert. It has similar kinds of capabilities as an arisen does, but it's not an arisen.
I tell you what I'm interested in, Sobek. If we know that like the Heartless can effectively like absorb the Sekhem in us to like destroy us, could we absorb the Sekhem from a Heartless?
It's an interesting topic, and they're in effect a living relic that we can absorb.
Because to be fair, I mean obviously I have no idea whether this works in game, in character or out of character.
One way to find out.
But I'm thinking if we're like the Heartless are a problem that needs to be dealt with, okay, yeah, we could just destroy them. But if we destroy them by like reclaiming the Sekhem that they're sort of like illegitimately using, surely that's better, because we can then put the Sekhem to like the use that the judges wanted it put to.
Is Husani an oracle?
That is a very complex question.
Who would I consider like a high oracle?
The thing is, as well, Sobek doesn't know as a person, but Khufu knows that the very title within the guild for Husani is First Prophet.
Right. Has he ever told me that?
No. He's told Khufu, though. And Khufu remembers that as well, aside from being told. But
I'm happy to assume that I would have told Sobek that, because I've not been keeping any secrets from him.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will, because I want to understand more about these creatures. Because I'm putting feelers that what if I'm being shown these creatures because they are a threat that still exists and we need to stop them? Like, what if they're still out there and we need to stop them? What if we're slowly being picked off, like we are the last arisen and there was millions of us?
You know for sure that things do exist. In fact, it's not a thing that has ever really gone away.
Unaware.
I
thought we were indestructible.
The Heartless haven't always been in the picture, but there's always been something to be somewhat afraid of in the dark, as we saw in the Roman Britain flashback as well. The whatever was going on in the forest with some of these undead cannibals ? There were two with Sekhem there, and they fucked you up in a bad way.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That thing, the one that was the Eater of Darkness, the one from Egypt.
Hate in the Night. Mesa de Kera. Supposedly a prince among the lifeless.
I think could still be around. Like, there's no guarantee. So, I'm gonna ask my guild, to send someone up to Husani's people, and be like, look, I know we're not of the same, guild, but we both care about. We both have an interest in fate. My brothers told me some, but not obviously too much, being of your ilk. I'd like to speak to you about a vision I had back when I first awoke. I want your advice. If you're willing to give it, you're welcome to come to. As our invitation was already given to come here, or I will come to you.
So you said you wanted your guild to send him this? Do you mean your cult or your guild?
Oh, sorry, my cult. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was thinking
it's a personal request.
Yeah.
But I don't want to trouble Khufu with it right now because he's got lady trouble.
Okay, so I think the next two things is going to be, and Khufu is going to be in a favela, talking to Sockmist. There's
we travel by.
There's a fairly energetic beat coming from a boombox that has been rigged up. You're in a sort of living room situation in a small favela house. There's this lively music banging on in the background. And Sockmist is there. in his customary attire of only wearing cargo pants in camo colors and nothing else. And he's brought you like opens a can of beer and puts it on the table in front of you and sits down, opens one for himself as well.
Yeah, I'll have a few sips of the beer just to be polite, you know, 'cause he's offered it.
Yeah.
And when he sort of like asks what I wanted to see him about, I'll probably say, because again, I'm going straight in with the like trying to jog his memory. I'll say, well, it's always a pleasure to speak to one of the shepherds of the chamber who once tried to plant the spine of a Tsar into the lands of Kemet.
He smiles a bit and says, "What's with the sermon?" It's-
I lean forward, sort of smiling behind my wooden mask, and I say, I have recently recalled the first time that we met, Sackmist.
is that so? He
Indeed.
takes a sip.
It was in a small place in the ancient world known as Abju, the Hill of Relics. You
I'll
were
have to take your word.
I like the fact that you could. Is this like someone professing, love to someone? And that guy going, "Cool, cool story, bro."
a priest there, a priest of Azar. A powerful and wise man.
Well, at least I'm still handsome. He says, chuckles and
I sort of laugh slightly behind my
takes a
mask.
sip.
And then I'll say, in a sort of slightly quieter voice, yes, of course, that was all before Messedekera tore it all down. And I'm going to be like watching him, see if anything I say sort of sparks any memory in him.
He looks contemplative at the name, and he says, "Is that someone that we have struggled against?"
Indeed, Messedekera means the hate in the night. It was a great lifeless creature that had grown fat on the power of the great ruling house of the ancient world and devoured the Arisen to increase its power.
Well, I suppose we should thank fate for the fact that we are both still here after this.
Indeed.
It sounds like a mighty struggle. If we were there, I do appreciate you. I do not recall this, Kufu. I'm sorry. But if I was there and we fought against this, whatever this hate in the night is, I do appreciate your friendship in such a distant time.
Indeed, I recall that many of us were killed by Messedekeret, myself included, although, thank the fates, I was not permanently destroyed by it. For all I know, the creature may exist to this very day. But it was pleasing for me to remember that, and I do not mean this with any disrespect, Sacrist. It was pleasing to me to see that in the ancient world you were an Arisen of power and influence, helping to guide the course of Arisen society rather than being on the outside as you seem to be now.
Well, we're only on the outside until the court has been dealt with. Soon enough. Soon enough. Come the World Cup, we will be, how do you say, kicking them out. Takes a sip.
Yeah, I'll take a sip of the beer as well. And I'll say, well, if there is anything I can do to, although I am not officially a member of the Orisha, I regard yourself and some others as allies. If there is anything I can do to assist you during this time, please do not hesitate to ask.
Yeah, about this, Khufu, I have some regrets as far as how it went down last time. It wasn't what I wanted.
It's fine. I bear no grudge. After all, are we not immortal? There is time for everything. There will be another time where I can make it known that I align myself more firmly with the Orisha. After all, do we not have all the time in the world? For
As
me,
much is true.
for me personally, I believe that our lives are too long to hold lengthy grudges over such things. After all, given how long we have already lived, how much we have seen, experienced, and forgotten, if I held an undying grudge against everyone who had wronged me at any point during history, I would have no truck with many, many of the Arisen. And given
Just
that,
to just go on with the work.
indeed,
Right.
given that we are the only things that do not change in this world, to a certain extent, are ourselves. All we Arisen have is each other. Therefore, I would not seek to hold on to such grudges.
And what a burden it is to be there for each other sometimes.
Indeed.
I dearly wish some of us weren't here. But fate is what it is.
Very true.
Well, I think I know why you decided to come and talk to me about this, and I do appreciate it for what that is. And
Indeed. It has been my experience that talking about memories with other Arisen makes them easier to recall. And obviously, I won't go into it all here, but I'll spend a bit of time going over what I remember from the first turn.
yeah,
Focusing mainly on like what involves him and the other Arisen, and like I'll sort of mention without trying to put the emphasis on it. I'll mention that there's like a few Arisen he seemed to get on well with back in the day that he now doesn't, to sort of like reinforce my point that like these things change. We can't hold on to grudges, and I just generally sort of lay out everything I remember for him in the hope that in the future when he reflects on it might sort of spur his own memories.
Yeah. So he's very well down to listen to all this. He will discuss things with you, and he will let you know in no uncertain terms that given the chance, he will fucking torch Apep Metis' cot to a cinder, and then he will have dogs defecate on the ashes.
That's fine. I'm not going to try and dissuade him off that because I know he's got mad beef with Apep Metis.
Yes, he's with you until it comes to like, oh, maybe no grudges. Nah.
That's fine. I mean, at the minute, Khufu's assuming, for right or wrong, that he's holding these grudges because he obviously only remembers, like we all do, sort of selected portions of his life, and that, like myself and Sobek, his viewpoints may change as he remembers more. But I know for myself that's not something you can really force on someone. They have to sort of remember stuff themselves and come to it in their own time, like we did. So I'm just sort of presenting him with the information because I'm like, these are your memories. You've got a right to know them, basically. What he chooses to do with them afterwards, even if it's nothing, that's down to him. And like I say, I regard him as an ally, so I'm just trying to make sure he's as well informed as he possibly can be.
Yeah, no, he appreciates it. It really does feel to you like he has very few points that he can actually like latch onto, The idea of having fought some of these lifeless, that seemed to be a thing he could touch on. And well, you discuss things with him. It goes well. He likes you, enjoys your company.
Quick question. I know we've got like the memory wall in our tomb.
Yes.
Would another Arisen be able to use that, or is it specific to us?
You have no idea.
Okay, so I'll drop in a mention to him. I'll say we have an area in our tomb, very loosely translated into to modern Portuguese. It is a memory wall. I do not. It has helped me reclaim memories of my past. I do not know if it would work with you. However, if you wish to meditate on it at any point to try and recover more of your memories, you are more than welcome to do so.
No, he appreciates your gestures of friendship, as always. Right. We will jump from the favela to the tomb, where Sabek is receiving Husani for a visit.
We actually came.
Yeah. So you're giving him the tour of the facilities, and you wanted to discuss something specific with him.
I did, yes. I did, yes.
So he's your guest, basically. So he's going along with your program.
Yeah, show him around. Show him some of like the artwork and some of the Khufu stuff. You know, like I'm sure he'll appreciate the work that Khufu's done. You know, his kind of.
Lest we forget, this is Husani.
Husani, yeah, Riv did things, but also
with
the first
with
oracle.
Subaris. Yeah, he's the first oracle. Is his rank? There's 7 of them. These are the global 7 leaders of the entire Submanant Guild. He's one of them.
I will have told you though, Sobek, that like he seems to be a bit embarrassed about being called like the first oracle. So maybe like don't just like drop that a lot in conversation. See, like when I've done it, he's always been like, oh yeah, and he seems a bit awkward about that, so he doesn't really like to be referred to as that. So I've just said, like I know you know it, but like when you see him, like you might want to keep that on the down low.
Keep him down low. Okay. Yo, first oracle, what up?
What up, dog?
What up, girl? Yeah, so I'll be wearing I will have adorned myself in a nice robe that kind of blends my guild sort of colours and symbols with his as a kind of show of like this is like a joint thing. I'm consulting him on something that concerns his guild and my own and trying to get him on side. I can imagine that for every like 300 words I use, he responds with like 2. Like he's a
or grunts.
Yeah, so I'm showing him around now. I'm going to say come to it. I thank you again for coming to see me. I know that we go a ways back, Husani, and I truly cannot remember every facet of time that I've experienced, so I apologize if there are moments of our previous relationship that I cannot recall currently. But I've always valued your outlook on things. As you know, I work with the secret card, and they have a certain way of doing things that can be difficult when you want to get a straight answer, and when you're trying to find the truth of things. But I respect you are a person of research, an academic, and someone who cares about what they do, regardless of where we come from.
It would strike me as working against yourself if you seek the truth but work with Bantanath and her loss.
I understand why you would think that, Usani. I do. But you have to be willing to walk a twisted path sometimes to get to where you need to go. There is a strength in that. I hope you appreciate. But my concern is not mainly with them. I recently had the fortune or misfortune, I suppose, depending on how you view our long life, of remembering my first life post REM. A really old memory came back to me.
It
And
does sometimes happen. I think it might have something to do with the cycle.
yeah, it does. I sometimes think it likes to remind us of our past triumphs and mock our mistakes that we keep making over time.
I would suggest you don't think of it that way. Um, Whatever fate has chosen to reveal to you, fate does not mock. Fate cares not for.
Perhaps that is my inflection.
We are all
Fate
flawed in
itself.
our ways.
Mm. But I remember a creature, some foul thing. I truly, I at the time, obviously, I had no notion of what was going on. Um, I remembered so little then compared to now. It stalked my brother. It didn't kill him, but it could have. And that memory, it nagged at a thread in me, Sunny. I feel that something is trying to warn me of this creature. I feel it is still out there, still out there.
What manner of creature are we talking about?
And I'll sort of describe the what I can remember because obviously I didn't actually I haven't seen what it looks like, but
Yeah,
I'm guessing
you
it
do
looked
remember. You do remember having fought Mesidikera specifically.
yeah
Uh, but so you describe Mesidikera, or
yeah the night
yeah,
eater
yeah, the hate in the night.
the the
Night Eater.
the
Whoa.
night eater.
Husani nods along as you describe this thing, and as well, it is a terrifying creature, no doubt. If it was hunting and succeeding in hunting Arisen,
Yeah.
which does allow me to make the comfortable prediction that it was probably one of the Shuang-Sen, those without life.
Do I know what that means?
Yes, yes, it's more or less means those without life, and it is the lifeless indeed.
He is so literal, that guy. He is
Yeah.
so literal. But is it like a rank? You know what I mean? Is it like a hierarchy? Like is it like vampire, kind of nasty undead thing? You know,
So,
night.
is this something you ask of him?
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
kind of probably better
So,
worded than
on a scale
artistic.
from skeleton to vampire lord,
Yeah.
what are we talking? No, he says, Shuangsen carry by some foul method
Mm.
Sekhem. They have the power of Sekhem
Yeah.
to a lesser degree than the Arisen, because of course they were not created with the arts
But they are
such as
able
we
to
were.
kill us, if I recall. They can
They
destroy us.
are, yes, that is very true. They do possess that ability to quite profoundly
Mm.
uh, wound even Arisen, such as ourselves. Now, it is fortunate that they are, having not been the servants of the judges as we were
And still are.
and still are,
just
and not
just
not
just
having
providing.
not having the blessings of the gods, the judges, not following the true ways of Irem, they are not as blessed as we are, and thus weaker, much more frail than we are. But they, much like any pest, any predatory animal that claws at the gates of the village, they have a considerable danger that they can present if there's a capable individual, as you have mentioned this particular one from your memories.
It
Or
was
if enough wolves gather, eventually the pack is going to be dangerous to someone, even though wolves are clearly not a danger
to
to
destroy
even
one of
people.
us.
He chuckles to
yeah.
himself.
I kind of do. I do kind of like take a. Did he just laugh?
Yeah, but he laughs at his own animal stuff. They are a danger of variable proportions. There are other lifeless, as your brother Kufu would be able to advise you, such as these. And he like taps on the forehead of one of the tomb guardians in your tomb, the reanimated 40-year-old dead corpses that never decayed.
Excellent work, my brother. He knows his craft.
Well, he knows the craft of Irem.
Do we all?
These creatures are lifeless. There is Umkata. They are lifeless spillage of blasphemy and ill-advised high arts.
Well, where are they now?
Who?
These creatures who have not. Why do we not see them now?
Well, we do. It is my understanding that we very much do. Not in Rio as much.
Right. Okay.
They do exist. Make no mistake on this front.
Do you know of a way we could track one or find one if we had met one previously?
If well, you are
Is there a
talking
way for
about
you, as I understand your station, I do not wish to mount platitudes on you. But I understand your craft. I, I'm not a man
you
who is
do? He raises an eyebrow.
somewhat. I have spent a long
Mm-hmm.
time with one of your order, and
Mm-hmm.
I value his opinion, and his opinion of you is the highest of Arisen, I think, can be in
Well,
terms of
I must speak to Kufu of potential tutelage duties if he is a capable teacher in this regard.
very much so. He even has an interest in mortals, um, sometimes to his detriment. But anyway, I'm not a man who, or an Arisen now, that fears much, or even has a notion of the concept anymore through my long life. But I, and I'm extending some trust in you, Hisani, by telling you this, is when I had this memory, I was not alone. I had a
Mm-hmm.
visitor, a creature, or a being, or a presence, spoke to me while I saw this memory, and with it came a warning. It may not relate to this creature. It may relate to other things. But my concern is such as we arise with the turn of Sothis, so do our enemies return and find us over time. And that this creature, if it was as powerful and dangerous as I recall, taking down our brothers at such a young age, if it exists now, that would be a formidable threat. And it may have left my brother alive for this very eventuality. Come back one day. Fate is, after all, ironic.
Well, fate is what it is.
Because you know,
And who
even though
who
Hisani is of a different order to me, I am, shall we say, it rend up to the nines. So I have an inkling.
Husani, I don't know if you noticed my 5 Ren.
Yeah,
My
check the sheet.
maxed out Ren.
Yeah.
uh, Fate is what it is, and who could say what the ways of the enemy are? These You mentioned that there is a being. Do you mean that there was a spirit? That there would be a departed ghost? What do you mean when you say that there is a being that speaks to you in your memory? Did you encounter a spirit in your memory?
I don't know if it is spirit, Usani. Truly, I it it seems to be able to witness my memories and focus my attention. It could even be a relic that I have possessed and have forgotten. I search for those answers myself, and I believe that Khufu hears it too. Um, we've had similar conversations, but I do not know what it says to him if that is the case. But it has provoked my curiosity, it has kept trying to focus my attention, and I wonder if I'm missing what it's trying to teach me. And when I saw this creature, perhaps that is one of the things it wishes to me to notice. It was a terrible, terrible thing. It also showed me a REM briefly. I do not know if you yourself remember that far back.
Occasionally there are flashes. That is the way of it. So you think there is a spirit of some kind trying to guide you somehow, somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
but it is not one of the unquiet dead.
My instinct would say no. It has knowledge beyond what a mortal creature, something of mortal origin would know.
I don't think my specific knowledge might be able to help you here. This is not something that I have heard of. Even though we have done quite a bit of research on the fountains of Mott and the nature of memory, I don't recall such a phenomenon.
You've never experienced something similar.
No.
You know what, I'm going to accept that he's telling me the truth because he has no reason to lie to me. I think to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
if that was Ib Shetter, I'd be like, well, let's just have a roll here.
It's like I was like, I'm not even rolling like that. That's going straight to the shit bin.
Yeah. I do not know what resources you have, but if you are able to consult um, bones, I don't want to insult you with the correct
He
term.
chuckles.
Yeah.
I take your meaning.
Just if anything comes up, because I care about my brother, and I do not wish this thing to get him to return. If it does, I want to be ready for it. There was a
If
time I actually defended him against creatures that came to aid us.
Well, that is the nature of it, as we.
And I still wish to protect him now.
Mm.
You know, so much
Well,
has happened since Arem.
I will presumably be hearing about this if there are further developments that might be something that I can assist with. It certainly sounds curious.
Well, I thought if a creature of this magnitude was approaching here, even from decades away, you might have got a sense for it.
Mm.
If such a thing is still around, and maybe I'm just being overcautious.
You are speaking now of the spirit in your memories, or this
No,
lifeless,
the thing I saw my first awakening,
this hate in the night.
hate in the night. Yeah.
Well, I would say it's a definite possibility that it does exist, as things that do have the capability of leveraging the flow of Sekhem, they might have some longevity to them. We as I mentioned, who could know about the ways of the enemy? Certainly not the favorite of the gods.
But I know that you busy yourself with research and the noble pursuits of your order rather than getting distracted by pursuits of the present. So you seem like the right person to ask, and like I said, I respect your opinion.
If you or Khufu have questions about the lifeless, I will be glad to help you, as these are all, unless they are, leveraged in such a capacity as to be guardians of tombs, holy sites, temples, important relics.
Okay.
They
So
are
just
insufficient blasphemies.
can I check with John 1 second before I open my mouth? John, if I had asked, I probably would have informed you that I was at least touching base with Husani, like just
Okay.
like a message. Do you want me to ask it? Do you want to speak to him about your issue with your demon queen?
I've given you no sign that I intend to do so.
Okay, then I will not bring it up. I didn't want to kind of out him. Oh, just by the way, he's responsible for demon. Yeah. Yeah, Husani, if visions or any kind of information comes your way, please do let me know.
Of course. Friends of Khufu can be friends of mine as well. Now, excuse me, I simply must. And he goes over to one of the animated corpse thralls and starts fiddling with one of the gunshot wounds that are on the corpses because they got fucking murdered.
Please feel free to stay a while.
So he preoccupies himself with fussing with the corpse thralls.
We have some library material and a templary if you wish.
Fantastic.
Make yourself.
Yes, I would like
no doubt
a servant.
Kufa will come say hi at some point. I think he is tending to a personal matter at the moment.
Hey there.
hey, boss. Okay.
Okay, so Husani is going to spend some time in your tomb because he thinks he can fix up some of these corpse thralls. Well, some of them, the two of them that are there.
Weirdly, talking to the first mayor always reminds me of like earlier epochs. It's just
they're a bit more boiled down.
Well, yeah, they're less concerned with like the sort of modern world and the sort of current affairs, aren't they? They've all got like, well, certainly the ones we met, they've all got like their one thing they're dedicated to, and that's it. So like we know like Hassani's all about those like ancient mortuary practices, and that's it.
He hasn't got like a super secret agenda. If he does, he's played me really well.
Yeah, it's a good cover.
He is covering it so well.
If he were,
yeah.
if he's a mastermind of some kind, he's doing a good job of covering it because he's like everyone just knows like, oh, he likes reviving dead things because that's the title.
But he's certainly a good guy to have around for information.
Yeah, no, he knows all about the lifeless. He is
just wait 3 sessions from now. I get a message. Yeah, the darkness is coming. What kind of darkness?
Yes.
Great.
And next, you know, it's, do you believe in a thing called love?
Let's leotard it up and find out.
Long as we don't let the bells end, it's fine.
Right. So we can jump to a point where you do something you want to do. I have some things on my list here that we can start checking off. But if you have something you want to get up to,
Okay, there is one thing I'd like to do. Obviously, I already mentioned that I want to try and see if I can feel the strands of fate pulling me towards the artifacts I possessed in the first age. However, a thought also occurs to me. I'm like, okay, so we're effectively, when we track these things, we're effectively sensing the sechem that's in them.
yes.
So a thought occurs to me. I want to try and see if I can use the flow of sechem to sense where my wife is, since I know her very well. She's one of these lifeless now, so she's probably like chock full of sechem. I have no idea whether that'll work.
I will highlight that you sensed absolutely no sechem in Aristides Borges.
Yeah, I'm still going to give it a go though, because I'm like, well, okay, so I've encountered, as far as I remember, like two lifeless. One was like sechem a go-go, and the other had like nothing. So I'm like, I may as well give it a go, see if I can sense it. If not, I'll just be like, well, she's obviously one of the kind that doesn't have sechem. Because I know Aristides Borges said that she was a different type of lifeless.
Yeah, but he was very clear on the distinction. Like, you are wearing the bad team's mask, dude. That's not cool.
I made the bad team.
I am the owner, in fact.
That's it. So yes, I think probably what I'll do is I'll probably return to the tomb, because obviously I can meditate there and use the tomb, etc., to bolster my efforts. And I'll probably meditate first on seeing whether I can locate my wife, and then whether that succeeds or not, I'll then probably have a go at trying to locate the relics that I had in the first age, the leather band and the hunter's lion axe.
Yep. So I'm going to presume that Sobek's around. You've met up. You've compared notes if you wanted to. And so Khufu is centering himself. He's sending out the Kefir.
Obviously, I'll use my my utterance allows me to block out all the all distractions and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, your affinity.
Affinity, yes. That's
living
right.
in now, I think it's called. Yeah. So you sense through the use of your own sechem things that are of your guild, and you know about your wife. You at the time. we think we might have progressed beyond that category now, but you recall Talaye's likeness, and you don't have any idea if any of this will work as you sit down to try and send out the feeling, if the manifestation of your sechem would be able to touch on sechem in Talaye. And it doesn't bring you a lot of additional information to find out that the answer is no, but there is no sort of like why it doesn't work, or did it even work, and it just like didn't even happen. So it does not allow you to track Talaye, unfortunately, for whatever reason that is. Now, let's see. So you have both held and seen the axe and the braid of the desert. So let me just try and figure this out here. So you roll what? You roll your sechem. Okay, so so you roll your sechem. You can spend willpower to add 3 dice to it, and I will let you know that the modifier for having seen or held the relic, it's -4 to your dice pool. The penalties for not having seen or held are very much higher.
I was going to say.
yeah, it's no. But the thing here is, like, it's not about the sort of like all or nothing. It's more like if you've read about some stuff and you try and reach out, you will get something, but it's going to be like very vague, and then you have to do a lot more legwork to get it done.
Okay, so I'm going to spend a willpower.
Yep.
So let's see, so -4 +3.
Yep.
So that will effectively mean I'm just like rolling 3 dice.
Yeah. You're
So
at
I've
4
got
second.
second 4, yeah. So I'm just going to roll it manually rather than mess around with
Yep.
the
No,
modifiers.
Can you spend a willpower to boost it though if you want?
Look at that, 7, 9, and 10.
yeah. So that's 2 successes there. That is wonderful. Let me see. Where's the... Here we go. So, through visions, omens, and intuition, the Arisen learns the vessel's current city, county, or other broad region. He also experiences a vision of one individual with an important relationships 2 steps superior. So moving down on the well, you're already almost down at the up at the top of that list. So if a mummy is seeking a proxy, well, you're not seeking a proxy, you're seeking the thing itself. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say that because it goes basically off the chart of penalties. If it moves up 2 steps, you're at step 2, so there's no 2 steps for you to go up. I'm gonna say we have a fairly good result here. So, which one is this, by the way? The axe or the braid?
The axe.
The axe. The axe is. Let's see. What is this? Current city, county, or other broad region, but it's not a country level. It's more specific. So you you get a vision of an island in the Mediterranean. And there is a city. Let me just see. Let's pull up the map here because we're talking about places. Need to get the names right. So yeah, you are seeing, in fact, visions of sort of white painted traditional Greek buildings in a layout which is quite organic indeed. Lots of small alleyways. There's no way that you can fit a car in these spaces, and you get a whiff of roasting lamb. You think you taste red wine, and there is a lot of, you feel dirt and gravel and stones on your hands, and you see a ruined temple, which is really it's a tourist site currently. It's an archaeological sightseeing location. So this is on the island of Crete, somewhere nearby Heraklion. And yeah, so it is somewhere in this tourist site of an old temple ruin in Crete, near Heraklion, which is one of the big cities on the island. So you this is what you see as you send out your Kepher, the sun scar's path. In your mind's visions leads you to Crete.
Okay, so I'll spend, because obviously I've seen the vision. I presume it doesn't just say like it's in Crete. So
No, but you see the Mediterranean. You know, sort of the rough geological location of it,
yeah, so I'll
not
assume
necessarily the names.
I've spent a bit of time with like some of the more sort of tech savvy cult members, basically describing the place to them just to like get them to narrow it down
Yeah.
to like, oh, it's an island called Crete. This is where it is. Effectively, like, here's the description, like Wikipedia that for me.
Yep.
And once that's done, I'm going to go and find Sobek and then say, brother, I have meditated on the location of my axe, and I believe it to be on an island known now as Crete in the Mediterranean.
Takes me a second. The axe from when we were first awoken.
Yes, the lion's axe.
It's still here.
It would appear so. I believe it to be in an ancient, what was once an ancient ruined temple. However, it is now rather like our own tomb. It is now a site where humans come to gawk at the past.
It's in a museum.
I believe it's what they would call a tourist site destination.
Perhaps we should buy it.
I was certainly thinking of travelling there. I wondered if you fancied a spot of Mediterranean sun.
You kind of you see Sobek just kind of sink back for a second, like you see like he's in front. Are you sure you want this axe?
Yes, it is mine.
The last time you wielded it that I'm aware of, you came across something most natural.
Indeed, however, the axe was not the cause of that. I wielded the axe because I was being attacked by something most unnatural. That is not the fault of the axe itself.
It's true, but you found the axe not long before you encountered this creature that we barely escaped from. If the axe has survived this long, then perhaps he just kind of lets that thought just linger.
Perhaps, but it seems unlikely that, given that I have only just remembered it and the creature from the past would have no way of knowing how soon our memories would return, it would seem a very unlikely trap to have been laid, if that is what you're thinking.
Perhaps I'm just,
And also, we have survived against this creature once, and we are far more powerful than we once were.
It's not always about power, Khufu. Sometimes it's about wisdom.
In which case, I would say that we are also wiser than we once were.
I certainly remember more.
Indeed.
Well, if you wish to go get it, I of course will come with you. Perhaps there is other relics there if it is a collection of things.
It is my wish to recover it, and once I've done so, I will also begin searching for the braid of the desert that I also once
You might,
possessed.
as a precaution, though, if we just want to check that it doesn't belong to another arisen, or they haven't have it in their own kind of collection.
I did not receive any vision of a current owner.
Okay.
It may be simply that I could not sense them, but it may also be that it simply lies within the ruins of this temple waiting to be discovered. Or perhaps it is on display as an item of historical curiosity, let us say.
They're probably ignorant of his true power. We should obviously return it to the judges and do that. That is where it needs to go, right?
I agree, in time.
I could look for that object I had as well, but part of me doesn't want to fight it if it still exists. It was most foul.
That is, of course, your right to do or do not as you see fit. However, it is my desire to reclaim that which once belonged to me.
Are you wishing to do this before or after we go and find your
Well, until Aristides Borgus returns to me with further information, I have no way of locating Talea. So I would suggest that we continue with other things in the meantime.
Very well. Of course. Oh, by the way, Husani's he's here. I haven't.
Ah, splendid. I will go and greet him.
He's going through our undead with the most curious eye.
So yeah, so if Asani's still here, I'll go and obviously respectfully say hello to Asani.
Yeah. So yeah, you can definitely exchange some words.
Yeah, if I see him poking around with the tomb guard, I might try and pick up like a few tips from him. I'm quite skilled in terms of like autopsies and stuff like that. I've got a speciality, so if I get a grasp of like what he's doing with regards to like the physical repairs, I'll probably pay attention to that and sort of get a few pointers from him, because that's something I might look to do in future, just to like repair and maintain these tomb guardians. I know they don't rot away, but as you say, they were shot up before they were tomb guardians.
Can we have a flashback where it's Khufu and Husani doing like a CSI story, like they're tracking down a killer?
Enhance.
That would be brilliant.
CSI Sechem.
Yeah.
CSI City of Pillars.
Yeah.
Who did it? Probably the fucking priesthood, because so you can definitely sort of compare taxidermy stuff with Husani. What he does bring up when you're there and talking about these things with him, he indicates to you that having ascertained first that you have animated these with the use of utterances, yes?
Yes.
And you've confirmed that to him. So he mentions that he knows of certain ways whereby we could bind these creatures to the tomb itself, so that it is the tomb's sacred architecture that animates them instead of your utterance, which isn't a burden on you, as we already know, but he knows of ways that you could sort of tie these to the tomb itself.
Yeah,
So
I'll be quite interested in that.
Right. So that is something that if you want to, you can buy that for, let's say, very cheap, because Husani has been mentioning that, and you already have sort of the ingredients there. But it is in fact like an edition that you can buy with XP for your tomb. I'll get the details for you later, but you can get that on the very cheap going forward if you so choose, because Husani will just let you know how that is done.
See, that's why I like this guy. He just turns up as a chat, has a weird sense of humor, and teaches you like forbidden rites.
Also, this is a random question, but how much does a speciality cost?
Very good question, and not a single idea. I will now 3 XP.
Okay, because I'm 1 XP short at the minute, but what I might like to do when I've got enough XP is perhaps pick up some sort of speciality related to taxidermy to represent the fact that like he's passed on some of this knowledge to me. I doubt it'll be much use in game, but it seems like a nice sort of flavourful thing to do, you know.
Yeah, picking after the because you can bet your undead ass that he has specialties up the wazoo when it comes to this stuff. So,
I mean, what I'm going to assume that it probably falls under like science or something like that.
Yeah, science or probably depending on what sort of angle you put on it. Investigation is also good.
I might go for investigation then, because I've got Mo investigation and occult.
Yeah,
but I may also use it to try and justify like buying my science up a little bit at a later date. But that's obviously something I'll work on in future when I've got XP. I just wanted to mention it.
Yep.
So like this will be the justification.
Yeah,
if I do
that's
that in future.
entirely fine, and he's all about that because you're an actual pupil for him.
Yeah,
and it's not like he has too many of those because Sakmist isn't really the best necromancer around.
Well, that's it. I mean, like, I've rocked up and like spoke to Hassani, and like, every time I talk to him, he's like, "Oh, I'm doing this. It's really interesting. Ancient like mortuary rites." And I'm like, if he's willing to teach, I'd be purely from like a sort of self-serving point of view, it'd be foolish of me to like squander the fact I've got a guild master who's like, do you want to learn this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I not?
Yep.
So yeah, so I'll get a few pointers off him. Like, cause I'll probably put some XP into that sort of stuff in the future.
Yep. Righto. Do you want to ping? You don't need to like maintain the Kefir or anything. Do you want to ping your other artifact, or Sobek? Do you want to ping yours?
Delete.
I'll give it a go.
Right.
I won't be upset if I don't find it.
Mm-hmm. So you imagine the eye of fate and malice that you
I was going
held.
to say that I am Agamotto.
No, it's not
Different
quite that.
universe.
Yeah, we don't. Dormammu, I've come to negotiate.
That is essentially my stance in most scenes in this game.
Nessa de Cara, I've come to negotiate.
Yeah. Right. So you picture it. You reach out with your Sun Scarab's path. You send out your Sekhem into the world as you can, and you find nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
It has passed on.
It's been destroyed or taken by me or someone else.
Yeah, it is no longer where you can find it.
Thank goodness. Curious that Axe's still around though. Surely Kufu would have taken that to do it. Right?
Well,
He's not leaving relics around, is he?
What you mean the axe that I like died while I was holding? I wasn't really in a position to like take it anywhere because I was dead.
Did you not have it when you woke up?
No. Well, I had it when I woke up the first time, but obviously we died again at the end of the first sort of age.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And I had it then, but obviously we died then, so I don't know what happened to it afterwards.
You took it. You took your descent with you.
Obviously
well,
not.
apparently not.
Obviously not.
Yeah, apparently not. Yeah. We know of one more relic. Do you want to ping the braid?
No, I'm going to wait to ping the braid later. I want to like track down the axe first, and then I'll move on to the other one.
Okay, so what's the order of operations here? Are we going on a holiday?
Yeah, I think it's Arisen Go Wild in Crete.
Before we go, like, I'll be sitting down talking to Kufu and I said I'm gonna try and bring back a piece of a rem, see if it will work.
I'll raise an eyebrow because when I last sort of mentioned this idea, Sobek was like, no. But I'll raise an eyebrow and say, well, if you're sure that's what you want to do, I will of course. I don't know if I can help in any way, but I will of course attempt to help in any way I can, since I believe that recovering information.
This thing is sharing its visions for a reason.
Well, as I've said before, I believe that any threat we meet is better met from a position of knowledge than of ignorance.
Yes, I do worry that perhaps I'm being led astray like Hazmut. But perhaps it's the arrogance in me, but perhaps I feel like I have a better handle on it than he does.
I believe we also have the advantage that there are two of us to keep each other in check. Whereas Kazmut, from what I know, when he walked down his strange and dark path, he had no one to turn to discuss these thoughts with. Perhaps if he had, if we had been around, he would not have strayed from the flock, so to speak.
There is a lingering thought as well, brother, and I would never say this to anyone but yourself, really. That the feelings, the echo of memory when I saw myself as a mortal man, well, experienced myself as a mortal man. It was one of concern and confusion, maybe even a little fear. Nagging feeling that maybe what happened to us, we work for the judges, we return these relics. We shepherd the dead. What if the reasons why we were tasked with this is something that Arem did, that our ancestors, our people, created a catastrophe that we are putting to rest.
It is possible.
And by figuring that out for sure, it could be dangerous.
Well, I believe that whatever, as I've said, whatever dangers we may face in the future, I believe they will come whether we know of them or not. And I believe that although we have all made mistakes, myself perhaps more than others, the pursuit of knowledge itself is an admirable thing. And whatever challenges may come, they are better met from a position of knowledge.
Brother,
Yes.
if this is getting dangerous territory. If we had another memory like this, and you remembered someone, a person you knew, a friend, a co-worker, a lover you had in a REM,
Yes.
and you remembered that person, would your guild allow you to bring that person back to speak to? Did you speak to them?
I do. I believe it entirely unlikely that anyone from Iram would have lingered in the Shadow Realms for this long. If it were possible, such a spirit, such a shade, would be extremely powerful and therefore potentially dangerous. So it would be something best done with a degree of caution.
You could handle such a thing, surely.
I am humbled by your confidence in my abilities, however.
Demon mask staff.
Indeed. It's not a demon mask, it's the mask of a beautiful woman's face. But who later became a demon. But it would be something best approached with a great degree of caution, considering when we spoke with the spectre known as Set, that creature was very old and very powerful. However, I do not believe that creature was potentially around in Iram. I may be wrong.
They did speak Arem, perfect Arem.
Indeed. But
you could always ask.
Knowledge of ancient Aramite is not a surefire method to determine someone was around in that age. But even if we consider that perhaps if a spirit did survive from ancient Iram, it would be at least as powerful as that spectre, I think you gain some idea of the necessary caution required. And whilst I do not believe my guild nor the judges would object in principle, the potential fallout from summoning such an entity may be troublesome if approached without due caution and care.
It's very wise. Very wise. Obviously, the spirits are not my area.
Indeed. I have, from what we've discovered, I have already unleashed a number of hostile entities on this world. I would be hesitant to unleash another.
We need to solve our memory problem. I don't even know if that is possible.
Well, we are working towards remembering more with every day that passes.
We will eventually fall back to duet.
Of course.
To rise again.
And that is the way of our cycle. That is the very nature of what we are. We cannot do anything about that. The most we can do, in my opinion, is attempt to learn as much as we can whilst we are awake and put that knowledge to the best use before we once again travel to the west.
I feel we're missing pieces of this puzzle.
And I fear that is something we are always destined to do. For I do not believe, based on what we've remembered of our previous lives, that there will ever be a time when we remember everything.
We don't know for sure, because we've never... I mean, obviously our Curse Master could correct me here, but I don't think we've met every Arisen that's ever been.
No, I don't believe we have. But
maybe some of them remember. Maybe some of them don't lose their memory. Maybe it's not.
Perhaps. I personally do not believe it is it is within us to remember everything with clarity. As I've said, I believe all we can do is remember as much as we can each time we awake and do the best we can with what information we have. This will obviously lead to us making mistakes, errors in judgment, but if that is
projecting there.
if that is the will of fate and of the judges, that this is how our cycle should function, who are we to question it? We are servants of the judges and of fate.
I feel we've swapped positions in this conversation. So sure I was a few days ago. That vision, it left a mark.
Well, that is why
I do not believe in what Casmo does. I would not use Sechem and relics to, hold off descent. That is wrong. But
well, as I've said, that switching of positions and our questioning of each other, I believe that is the advantage we have over Casmut, since we can question these ideas, we can bring these notions up to each other without any prejudice or concern that what we say to each other will be taken out of context.
We share openly.
Indeed.
No secrets between us. Asterix. Because I wouldn't know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we can discuss them. Whereas I fear if either of us were isolated, as Casmut was for a time, we would have no one to dash some necessary cold water on some of these stranger ideas to keep us in balance, if you will.
Perhaps that's what happened to Saknis. He lost his way.
Perhaps.
He doesn't seem the man he was. He seems a pale shade. And the sad thing is, he doesn't seem to even know that he is a pale shade of what he was.
Indeed, having spoken to him,
it's not my place to tell him who
I,
to be and how to live. But
I am fond of Saknist and I regard him as an ally. But when I spoke to him recently and attempted to stir his memory, I got the feeling that he did not remember much of the ancient times at all. And when I spoke to him, it did not seem to stir many memories in him. I believe that over time he will eventually recover such memories on his own, as we have done. But that is something he will have to come to in his own time.
I will try and help him. I will set some time aside for that. Maybe a few hours. So what I'm going to try and do now, Curse Masters, I want my brother to be there when I do this. I'm going to try and summon a book, and one of the texts that I saw being destroyed in a rem, just to see if I can.
Yeah.
If like a big demon just pops out of the sky and goes no, then I'll know.
Yeah, if Rio is destroyed by a rain of fire, you will know.
If like Ampu rocks up and he's like,
The thing that worries me the most, if I just get a text message and it's with the Red Sparrow, please come see me in my office.
Yeah. See me about a book.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Can you please refer to the affinity? Does it require activation, expenditure of anything?
Oh, do I have it written down? Where did I get it? Acid of the God. Ashes for ink. Okay. I've got this stuff. Activation requires a point of willpower.
Okay.
And a roll of intelligence plus academics. If the mummy knows what text she seeks, even by description or a particular identifying name, then no penalty applies. If she seeks an unknown text that is simply pertinent to her topic of interest, she suffers a -5 dice penalty. Oh. So I need a blank book, essentially, to do this. Or slate.
Something to take the text and...
All right, so yeah, so I'd have to destroy it. I'd have to destroy it to resummon it.
So yeah, it's
So basically, we need to like rock down to a stationer's and like buy like your big notebook.
yep.
yeah. How often does willpower recover, by the way, as well?
Well, when you work towards your, what do you call them? It's on the character sheet.
Virtues and vices.
Yeah, virtues and vices restore that.
I'm going for the truth. Like I am looking for truth, like a madman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if because
Yeah. And it does recover over time as well. I don't remember if it's like a full reset per day, but if not, then it's going to be like a point per day, something like that.
Okay.
So you get your stationery ready. You
I give it a shot.
All right. So spend your willpower there. So you're trying to summon one of these clay tablets that you saw Khufu destroy on your orders.
Relating to the kind of outcast tribe or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my my death sight on just in case any like evil spirits or ghosts appear. Just in case.
Yeah. The text was made by the dead.
I feel like I'm in unknown territory. I don't know if this is against the rules or not. In terms of like.
Yeah. So you where does this happen? Where does this take place?
Oh, I probably don't need the memory stone thing we have. I don't know if that. I probably won't have any effect on the actual thing, but it's just
the affinity is within you, so
yeah,
it's not reliant on extraneous things.
Somewhere quiet then, somewhere private, maybe in like one of our vaults with stuff.
Okay,
like
so in your tomb then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in your tomb. You've got a black book with you, and you reach across vast eons of time with the magic imbued within you by your guild and the right of return, and you ask the cosmos to restore one of these clay tablets that you recall being broken so long ago, and for the cosmos to reveal to text once more again on the pages of this book. And so it shall be, for that is the power within you
me,
and in your guild mysteries. And lo and behold, Iramite text appears in ink across the pages. And they, let me see, where's my notes? Here we go. Yeah, so Iramite writing appears. It is a story of a particular chief of a tribe called Sa Tahet. I'll put the name in chat.
Wow. I'm actually surprised it worked. I was like, oh.
It is
such is the power of this hand.
Yeah. It is the sort of like life and deeds of sorry, actually sent that there. So that is the tribe, and Sa Tahet, and the chief is Jahapi. It tells the story of how Jahapi was born and how he became the particular like head elder of this particular tribe. And it, more importantly, much ink has been spilled over this part in the story. It tells the story of how wise Jahapi was to lay down his arms once the bronze-clad warriors of Irem arrived in his village, and how he, instead of resisting conquest, he willingly became a vassal of the just and powerful rule of Iran. And it tells about the tributes that his tribe has given, the Satahet tribe has given to Iran, and their particular devotions to particular gods. It's a sort of like, it's not very long because it's one clay tablet, but it's a sort of intense chronicle of deeds.
Bullet point list, yeah.
Yeah.
And this obviously these people were eventually outcast.
Yeah, they were all killed as far as you remember, and you and some others probably in the scribes got the orders to get all the information relating to the tribe destroyed because they have caused offense to one of your own guild masters back in Iran. So they offended one of your scribe guild masters, one of the priests of Duat, the Shaniatu, and for that they were cast out, destroyed, and their memory destroyed as well. Until now.
Till now.
Because you have just resurrected them.
There are many laws and intricacies of my guild, Khufu, as there is yours. I actually don't know the scenario I've just created by having knowledge of a realm that only we can possess. In one sense, I'm obligated to give this to my guild leader. In another, doing so may get me in a lot of trouble.
If you are concerned that your guild will look unfavourably on you possessing this information, then I would suggest you simply do not mention it.
I'm going to keep it under wraps for now. Make it complicated if Bantanath can't do this. This is a skill unique to me. I don't think I've seen anybody ever do this before. Interesting, Khufu. We were mortal when we saw this last. We were not arisen when we last laid eyes on this.
Indeed.
This is part of our own history in a weird way. We are connected to it, even though we did not take part in the events described. There is a name there. A true name, I believe. We had no reason to use a title. If you use that name, could you tell if they'd passed on? Can you sense a shade without summoning it?
Normally, to summon a shade, I would require an item that they are linked to. Now, since we do not actually have the original stone tablet here,
no,
and if there were a shade linked to the original tablet, I believe that link would have been severed when the original tablet was destroyed. What you have conjured, in essence, is the shade of the information that was once on the tablet. The original tablet itself is still destroyed.
A ghost of knowledge.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not expecting any result, but I'll attempt to use my death sight and my sort of necromantic senses to see if I think this book is now an anchor.
No.
And I was going to say, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not. But I'll just sort of put my hand out and do the
does it feel different? No,
yeah.
It's a book.
And I'll say, I sense no lingering essence about it that would lead me to suggest it serves as an anchor for a shade. But as I've said, the original item, which may have served as an anchor, has been destroyed. What we have here is simply a reflection of it. As you have said, you have conjured the words from the ashes, but the original object is still ash and dust, scattered on the winds.
It's still a piece of a realm, in a sense.
Indeed. and I believe it is one worthy of preserving, since, as you know, I've dedicated myself to preserving the deeds of the dead, and I believe it is only right that these things should be remembered and be known, even if it is only by ourselves.
Perhaps you could ensure that this name is. I don't know.
It would be difficult for me to make this knowledge public, since the book and the writing on it are obviously not ancient, since we purchased the book a mere couple of hours ago, so we could not use that as proof as an ancient artifact unto itself. However, I am happy to copy this information and record it, even if it is only stored in the archives of our cult.
I just had a thought. Do you think Husani would know a way to speak to a spirit that's departed?
I do not believe even Hassani, great as his abilities are, would be able to conjure a shade from such a long time ago whose anchors have been destroyed. It is my belief that that spirit would have passed beyond the shadow into whatever waits after.
Couldn't hurt to ask, though.
I believe if you are willing to share this information with Hassani, he would certainly be interested.
I mean, he said if I had any questions about the dead, he would answer them. He did offer that question. I don't have to tell him why I'm asking.
I believe even if you do not ask any questions, simply showing him this record would be of interest, since he is concerned with ancient practices, granted more in a mortuary sense, but he may be interested in this ancient information that you have recalled from the dust.
As a Risen Go, I trust Husani more than most, as I indicate to him himself. However, on saying that, the first merit, if you get on their bad side, it's usually biblical. I don't think this would offend him. I'll ask him.
Perhaps if you wish to find something that truly interests him, you could attempt to conjure some knowledge from ancient Iram of the funerary practices, since we would both surely have seen such information back in those days, and I'm sure probably very little of it survives, otherwise Hassani would not be attempting to reconstruct it. If you could summon such information, that would no doubt interest him greatly.
I will make the attempt. It does drain me somewhat, this, but I will. I am stronger than I look. At least I have X amount of willpower. I will give that a go, Curse Master. See if I can. Technically, no, maybe not. Would I get a bonus for my encyclopedic knowledge?
No.
No.
The guild secrets of the Soon Menant are not everyday facts as you recall from your immortal life. That's the like awful bar for you in that regard. Like you, as we have established, you recall how to make Iramite wine and beer.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and like how to prepare certain dyes for clothing and that kind of thing. So it's more general, but these are like high mysteries of different guilds other than yours. So
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, so you're doing what?
Attempting to summon a knowledge on the funeral rites, John, wasn't it? The passage.
Yes, since obviously my character was a chronicler and I was involved in all the sort of death priest malarkey, and a lot of the stuff I got came down from the scribes. We're effectively going to try and summon a like a similar stone tablet to the one we've got now, but it would be one related to like the funeral practices and like the body preparations, because I'm pretty sure that like probably none of those stone tablets have survived to modern day, either from ancient to Rome.
So, what does your affinity say, Sobek, about summoning things you don't have the exact thing for?
I think I get a -5.
Let's
Get a
roll.
get a minus
Let's get a roll going.
Yeah, intelligence plus academics.
Mhm.
If she is so if she seeks her if I know what text I'm looking for, even
Mhm.
by description or particular identification name, then I don't get an penalty. But
Yep.
I'm guessing if I'm
Okay,
just
so
summoning,
then you do. So intelligence and academics -5.
okay, I can try.
You can
Okay,
spend willpower to spend 2 willpower on this whole thing.
yeah.
3
Um,
total.
so intelligence plus academics. Okay, I'll go for it. That maxes me out in willpower though. I'm done.
Are you at 0 or?
Yeah, I've spent it all. I spent all my willpower.
You're going to be one lethargic mummy when you go to Greece.
Yep. I'm going to need to chill out for a bit. So do I get
Well,
-2
that's
then?
why he's going to need a holiday.
So whatever your intelligence and academics,
Yeah.
+3, -5. So -2 to
-2.
your stats.
Yeah. -2 just makes sense there.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Let me do that.
Right.
Because I'm unskilled in academics. Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Should have thought of that first, really.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Khufu's there being like, oh, you get penalties for that stuff? Shame.
That's my bad.
Okay. So yeah, it's you create ink stains as if ash blown across the page. No actual writing. Khufu.
I expect there probably isn't, but is there any way I can assist with this since I'm the one describing it? I didn't think there will be, but I thought it's worth asking.
Yeah, it's I think we could cook something up if you were a scribe, but this, as is the case with your guild necromancy bullshit, you also like borrow. You don't have the library card to this particular library. Very limited club that.
Damn.
Okay, so you get this, like it has some artistic merit because it kind of looks like someone took like fine ash powder and just went across the page, but it's actual ink stains on the page.
I'm sorry, Khufu. Unfortunately,
It was a slight hope to begin with, so do not remonstrate
maybe over
yourself
time,
over
with
it.
further research, that we might, in time, I can narrow my focus.
Perhaps.
But I could still ask Kusani about speaking to a long dead spirit.
Of course, if you wish to broach that subject with him, please feel free. I will, of course, happily accompany you.
I imagine that their death was not pleasant.
I think that's probably a safe assumption.
Yeah, so I'll as we're preparing for our like jetting off to Crete,
Mm-hmm.
you know, charting a plane, getting all the stuff ready.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get Khufu to wear something that's not like obviously not gonna go amongst people.
Not going to happen, man. Go Gandalf or go home.
Where will Husani be at this time? I wonder.
in his cave.
No, he's still. I think he's still visiting us. He's like in our.
Well, he can be around, whatever your intention was, really, and how you explained it to him when he arrived.
Yeah.
He can hang around for a bit, but
He can, yeah.
he does have his own things to get to.
Yeah. Get him to chill out.
Yep. Well, you guys are going to Crete, is that it?
Yeah. I was just gonna ask him if he can sort me out
Sort you out with what?
with a, you know, a right. Speak to the dead. You can speak to if you can speak to shades, you should be able to speak to departed spirits, right? That's
So
how it
okay,
works.
so you will have mentioned that in passing, perhaps, and he will have mentioned it's like you can talk to Khufu. He can summon the shades of the unquiet dead. Is he's more than capable.
What if they were just quiet? What if they were just spirits that have passed on? Is this
If they
is there
have
no,
passed on to Duat, then there is little we can do. In Twilight, then Khufu can reach them.
even without an anchor?
Well,
That is my question. I have a name.
If I know where cause I'm assuming I'm there. If I know where the spirits are and I can reach them to communicate with them, then I can do so, as Sonny has rightfully said. If I only require an anchor if I'm attempting to summon the spirit to my location. However, as Sonny has rightfully said, if a spirit has passed beyond the world of shadow, then it is far beyond any of our reach.
So all you need is the name.
No, I need to either have contact with the shade or be in its location, or if I wish to summon it to my location, I require an object that is linked to it, an anchor.
You can't do the reverse, like use a name to find a location where you could speak to it.
No, I'm afraid that's not how necromancy works.
Yeah. There are no exceptions to this rule, I take it, Husani. There are no ways to get around this problem if you have a name. In my guild, names are...
What exactly are you trying to do here?
Speak to a very old spirit.
We have recently, through the gifts of my brother, come into possession of a replica of some writings from ancient Irem related to a number of people who perished during that time. I
feel like his eyebrows just going up.
My brother believed that if it were possible to speak with such spirits, that we could increase our knowledge. However, I've advised it is entirely unlikely that a spirit would have lingered in the shadow realm for such a long period of time.
And if it did, it would be extremely dangerous.
Indeed.
It is highly likely that such a soul would not have survived, depending on the manner of their death. They might not have lingered much at all. And were you to go looking, where would you go to find this spirit, to perhaps communicate with it?
That is why I thought I would approach you.
Right.
Perhaps there is a... As always,
there are, unfortunately, certain mechanisms at work which do limit our reach. Even if we do have the name, which I presume you do,
yes,
we are not in a position to rely on the process of naming to conjure this spirit, I'm afraid. We would have to know where this spirit is first.
We need to know where it died.
That would be a good start.
But it
that
is
is
not,
problematic.
my brother, it is not simply a case of knowing where they died, although, as Susani said, that is a good start. We would need to know where the spirit is now. Now, if in the unlikely event such a spirit had survived, they would have to be extremely strong-willed and have a strong connection to this world. Such a connection may be found in the place where they died. That would be the good place to start, but it is no guarantee we would find a spirit still present.
Can spirits sense that you know their name, the true name?
No. That is not something that anyone can ascertain. Regardless, there's no being that has this manner of knowledge, Sabek, and I wonder whether you realize the nature of the ground you tread upon with these musings.
I have notions of the dangers. Yeah. It is why I respect your understanding in this matter. I know that I can trust your discretion.
I would advise you, with your feat of obtaining this knowledge, admirable though it may be, to perhaps pry no further. It is highly difficult, I would say, to find the spirit that you would wish to communicate with. I presume to obtain more information. And, well, it is commendable that you have this, whatever it is, some word of long ago days.
I would you could read it if you wish, Usani.
I will read it if you proffer it to me.
I will bring it. Unusually uncharacteristic for Sobek. I'm not holding anything back, as Susani, I believe, is on the level, so I will show him. Again, if he's playing me, well done, sir.
Yeah. Give me a D10. It's just a fate roll.
Oh dear.
We would roll fate dice if we had them. That's a no. So Husani pours over the page, turns it over, reads the whole thing, and he says, I seem... he has the 1,000-yard stare you've seen sometimes with the Arisen. He says, I seem to recall that this name. He points at the symbols that comprise the name of the tribe, Satar.
You knew this person?
I remember this name. He looks at just nothing, just stares into the distance, and says, there was a day when there came word. We disposed of some shells that we had in the temple. We were using them for something to dispose of them. There was word that came from the Shaniatsu that we
You
should
asked to
dispose of
destroy
them.
something.
We should dispose of the bodies of this particular tribe that we had in the temple, if we had them in the temple. Which we did. We burned the bodies as the spirits had moved on. The bodies were not that fresh, and we had not stored the spirits. He's sort of just like musing to himself, just completely lost. And we destroyed them because the Shaniatu named them heretics and blasphemers. They caused offense to the gods. And he hands it back to you and he says, "This is the folly that we must avoid, Sobek. You must destroy this."
Destroy it.
He closes his eyes and nods. It is not meant to exist anymore. The Shaniatu ordered the bodies burned. They wanted the ritual writings that we had prepared destroyed.
This does surprise me somewhat, Sani.
Which is fine, but meaningless.
No, but you my brother and your order pride yourself on remembering the dead, and this is
we ultimately serve the gods.
This is a record of a person's life.
This is record that was ordered destroyed by the Shaniatu, who are the priests of Duat by Azar's blessing. You need to destroy this, Sobek. This was destroyed in the City of Pillars, while the bodies of the Satahet tribe burned. It is not for us to bring this back, Sobek. We need to destroy it. You have fire here. He motions to like a brazier burning, or brazier. I'm not sure about the pronunciation there.
You do understand destroying knowledge goes against everything that I've been taught. Even dangerous knowledge, we don't destroy.
Going against the Saniatu, hopefully, is not something you have been taught. Hopefully, Khufu has not been so lax as to let you stray this far.
As he's saying that, I think I'm just going to whip the notebook and just like lob it into the fire.
Okay, so it goes into the brazier, unless you're going to be like, no, it is mine.
I'll give so like try not to let Sonny see. I'll give Sobek like a bit of a nod, like we'll talk about this later.
Okay.
And I'll whip the notebook into the fire.
Sobek, do you go along with it? It's
yeah, I
you
don't.
can do stuff.
If Husani did this, I would have protested.
Mm-hmm.
But Khufu did this, so I'm not going to. I trust him. I could not destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
I could bring myself to do it. I was about to try and explain this to Husani. This is just not in my nature to destroy knowledge like that.
Mm-hmm.
Khufu, but it's still strange that Khufu did it, because it's essentially a record of someone's life, and that's just not what he would do normally either. So obviously he has.
The thing is, as well, he did it because you told him to thousands of years ago, the first time.
Yeah.
He already destroyed this particular record once before.
True.
Now he's doing it again. So unless you like yank it away, it's like, no, I will not let go of this. Then Khufu is going to toss it into the fire. Cast it into the fire.
I can always summon it again.
Yeah, you can. That is very true. This is indeed the condition for you to be able to do so. So you into the fire it goes, and it's just paper, so it just burns. And Husani nods and says, that this is not some great blasphemy. I'm not indicating this, but this is the folly that befalls our kind sometimes, because we are imperfect in our service to the gods and to the Shaniatu, the judges. Sabek, your fault, your sin is only partially yours because you are imperfect in your service and you do not recall. Your nature works against what you should be doing,
I
which
cannot
is
help
our.
but search for the truth in these things.
This is the burden we all bear. But please, now that you know, don't tempt the judges with this folly. Leave Irem where it is. We focus on our task at hand. And I think that's probably where we're gonna sort of like roll the credits as we watch the paper to like curl into ash. And
I like to think as the credit rolls, we get like a little cutscene later on with sort of after Hassani's gone, with like Sobek and Khufu talking, and they're sort of discussing why he like threw it into the fire, and Khufu's just going to be like, "Okay, we've destroyed the notebook, but we've both read it. Do you remember what you read?"
And this is a good time to cut it, because there will be indeed, you have both on sort of Husani's urging, you have committed some sins against memory now, because this is not what memory is about. You had tangible evidence not only of Irem but your own lives, and that went up in smoke. So there will be effects for that, but that is what. If you ask Husani, that's the price of service, right? So we cut on Husani saying we focus on the task at hand, and yeah, there's the scene of you like discussing this afterwards, and then credits.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very much enjoyed it.
Very much for reading it, as always.
Yeah. And we return to maybe Rio, maybe Greece. We'll find out next time.
Indeed. Okay, obviously I'm happy to chat for a bit, but I'll end the stream here.